You miss a kill by like you can't even see the sliver of health that the monster still has, and you're like, oh, good, my whole team's gonna die when he comes out of break.
Hey, you guys have to watch the replay of the live stream that Shizu did. He blows through like 15,000 rubies, but the luck he gets in some of these pulls is absurd.
Good luck or bad luck?
It is crazy good luck.
Gotcha.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. It's that time of year, aka the new year. I think it's kind of interesting and exciting that the new episode on the new year starts with a 1. 341 episodes of We Were Gamers exist, plus some extras. Really, it's more than that. But hey, who's counting? Hello.
Not us.
Nope.
Welcome to January 2023. Michael and JJ, you're back. We're back.
Good to be back.
Yeah. Had a little vacay. It was nice. The holidays, you know?
Yeah. It was a good one this year, I think.
I know we got up to a good amount, I think. Football was in there. I have some video game playing, some movie watching, some everything. One thing people often do at that time of year is go out to a fancy restaurant. So I have a fancy restaurant question for you, gentlemen.
All right.
Wait, let me get my top hat and cane.
Mm-hmm. Panache your mustache real quick. Just make it nice and clean.
Take out my monocle.
Mm-hmm. We ate at a nice fancy place. I had a nice fancy meal. It was one of those a la carte dinners where you know the thing comes to the table and then all the sides are in the middle and yeah. Wonderful. We went to a couple nice dinners, and one thing that I think I will no longer order at a fancy restaurant is fish and chips.
Okay.
Too much fish in the fish and chips, often of a type that is not really meant for being breaded and fried. And many times I've been disappointed with the flavor, just sort of bland.
Yeah, I would never. I mean, you know, I don't know what kind of styles of food and stuff this place is serving.
It was a fish restaurant. It was a fancy fish. The one that I'm speaking of, not the a la carte place. Yeah, it was just a story about, you know, we go out to fancy places once in a while. And I was just curious what you guys may not order at fancy places anymore. And we had been to this fish place before. I've had things there I like. I was trying to order a somewhat sustainable meal in terms of what the fishes were to consume. There's a good list out there put out by Monterey Bay Aquarium, I think. Seafood Watch has a list of things you probably could eat less of to help out the environment. And so I was seeing, oh, well, this fish and chips is made from a sustainable fish. I'll eat that. And I love fish and chips. But it was just kind of like, the appetizer soup was better than this, you know?
So I think for me, fish and chips falls into a category of foods where the simplicity of the dish makes it the kind of thing that I wouldn't order at an upscale restaurant. So you could put something else in that category like street tacos. If I went to a super fancy, like high-end Mexican restaurant, I probably wouldn't order street tacos.
That's where you order mole, right?
Right, you order mole, or you order, something else that takes more. I don't know about more time, but more craft or more steps to prepare. Whereas the street taco you want from the guy who's just got a plancha out in the back of the place and he's slinging all the meats on it.
Yeah, I feel like fish and chips does sort of fall into that category of like, this is meant to be pub food. Sure. And if you're at a high-end kind of place, not that it will be bad, but that they're not usually making that stuff. And then you open it up to the like, well, we got to put a spin on it kind of stuff, right? And then they're like, our fish and chips is, something crazy.
Yeah, I mean, this one was thicker than any fish and chips I'd ever had before. And by about the middle of it, I was like, this is a lot of grease. There's so much fish in here that has just soaked up so much grease.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably because you're at a place that has access to nice fish, where most other places are like, we have the fish for the fish and chips. It's just called fish, you know?
Yeah, but usually it's, thin, crispy.
Right.
That was one of those things.
Yeah. I don't know that I have a food in that category like you guys are saying.
Or a category of food you won't go to a fancy restaurant for. Or that doesn't make any sense because you and I and Michael all would kind of try anything.
Yeah, I mean, I have famously said I would eat anything on a menu and try it at least once, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of an. I have a interesting restaurant experience recently, though.
Give it.
Maybe I'm just weird about this. I don't know if this is something that is normal. You guys have ever been to like a fancy steak place and you order a steak? Does it come out pre-cut?
Pre-cut? No.
So I have been to one where yes, the steak did come out pre-cut, and this was a very fancy steak place down your way, actually, JJ.
Interesting. So we were at a bar that happens to be in a steak restaurant, and we were like, oh, it's like they have a special, and it's a prime rib, right? We ordered a prime rib, and it came
prime
out
rib though. Prime rib is not
sliced.
Steak. Yeah. I've had sliced prime rib. I would not have called that a steak. I was picturing like a
no, not like a filet mignon.
Porterhouse filet mignon. Yeah.
No. Yeah. So I'm talking about specifically a prime rib, and like not sliced into like cuts, but they still had to give us a knife.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But like strips.
Into strips. Yep.
There used to be
I've never seen this preparation before.
There used to be a prime rib restaurant up near the Irvine Airport. And when you got it served there, it came out to the table and they brought it tableside on your plate. And it was the full chunk of prime rib on the rib and everything. And they would debone, defat, and cut into strips at the table, your prime rib.
Yeah, so they didn't do any of that here. The fat was all still there. It was just like they had literally just gone like up and down it with slicers or whatever. And it was still cooked, to the level we had asked for. It's not like the middle was like, some other piece of meat or anything. It was very clearly one chunk of meat cooked at the level we asked, but it was just cut into rows. Very weird. And again, maybe this is common or more common than I'm used to. It was still great. I had no complaints about the food. It was just weird, the preparation. I was wondering if this is just me or maybe it's more common than I think.
I think the real question with prime rib is, how was the horseradish?
It was fine. I am
bummer.
My wife is she wants nuclear horseradish.
Me too. Give it to me straight up my nose.
Like she is looking to have her nose burned out, her sense of smell destroyed, and she like wants horseradish on everything. Like if we just have normal steak, if we have like a ribeye here, she would be putting horseradish on it. She just likes horseradish, and great,
Sure.
But she also wants it like nuclear hot. So obviously it was not even close to good enough for her. So that's just like gotta see where the scale is here before I tell you, right? I thought it was fine. I like it maybe slightly stronger than this was, but this is a place they got like a cream sauce,
Oh yeah.
Like there was some flavor of horseradish in it, but it was not like, So anyway, I used the au jus a bunch more than I did the horseradish sauce because of that.
Well, since we're on the topic of places with food, I have an update for you, specifically JJ, but Michael, you may be interested in this. Reversing the story of fancy places with not fancy food, like Michael and I were saying, let's talk about a not fancy place with something pretty fancy, JJ. Trader Joe's. I tracked down that whiskey for you, that bourbon.
Yeah, you did.
This
did
weekend.
We talk about this on air before?
Yes, we did. I believe we did. Maybe we didn't remember. I don't know. Recap. JJ's gotten real into whiskey, which is good. We had that episode about it. You could look it up. You could probably type whiskey into the search bar.
Yeah, or bourbon. I don't know which.
Bourbon, maybe. Yeah, it might be bourbon. We tracked down a bourbon at Trader Joe's. It was somewhat hard to find. Comes out yearly in the fall or like early winter. This past weekend, Michael, JJ and I were texting back and forth. We got out every whiskey in the cabinet and poured them all and did a tasting.
Let's be clear. He makes it sound like I was involved. He and his wife did this.
Which
I was egging them on.
Yeah, we were baited to continue. I believe. Let's see. This is 9. That's 10. That's 19 whiskeys. Trader Joe's is pretty dang near the top, my friend.
That's a good. So here's like
top 5, maybe.
Wow, that's very high. You have some really nice stuff too, based on that cabinet I saw. So the picture you sent me.
Well, some of it
is also worth saying.
Yeah.
Yes. But like any cabinet of liquor and alcohol, some stuff you just accumulate. You know.
Yes.
It gets given to you.
Yep.
It shows up at a party and never leaves.
Yep.
You know, these kinds of things, and like they're there, but like, did you want this? Sometimes, you know. So that stuff, yeah. Like I applaud you for trying it also instead of just like knowingly ignoring it.
I mean, we even threw the.
But you do have like legitimately nice stuff.
We did it blind mostly. I knew what they were, but we did them in a series, so we didn't. It was just like better or worse than the last, better or worse than the last kind of thing. We even threw the Korean blueberry whiskey in there. It was,
I assume that ranked low.
Yeah, let's say bottom 3. Mm-hmm. Not as low as 2 others that are going into the cabinet as mixer.
Yeah. I mean, that's what you got to do with stuff that's just bad, you know?
Yeah, I was surprised to see, and this is video game related in our tasting, however, near the top was the Garrison Brothers I texted you about, the Yamazaki 12 from Japan, a Scotch from Cadenhead, which was a rebottled Lefroy, maybe? No, Glenlivet. It was a rebottled Glenlivet. Trader Joe's near the top. One of the ones that snuck in there, right above one of the Irish whiskeys we really liked, was the new Black Steele bourbon from Dr. Disrespect, which I got at Christmas.
That's random.
It's very strange, but it is actually good whiskey. And it's I think maybe the only actual Kentucky bourbon in there other than the Trader Joe's one. So I thought that was an interesting story.
Oh, because your other bourbons and stuff are not from...
They're not Kentucky bourbon. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. Yep. Huh, right?
Yeah.
Well, congrats on him, I guess. Use your celebrity to make good products.
Yeah, I mean, hey.
Sure.
I had no idea this existed. I just Googled it. Like, this picture of Dr. Disrespect holding this whiskey is very silly.
Yeah, there's a whole commercial for it, too, where it starts off kind of like he's in the costume or whatever, and then it switches around, and he's in more of a out of costume character. Still a caricature of himself.
Yeah. He's like, the tagline is like, gamer, icon, master distiller. What?
He's still got the fake mustache on, though. It's just pretty funny to me.
Of course.
Traditional craft, untraditional spirit, JJ.
All right. I like it.
Yeah. No, it's decently funny. I think it's sold out. It was a Christmas
stuff thing. Like that is
immediately
often a very small release. Yeah.
Well, and the
barrels and
the aftermarket for it is actually really high, which I didn't know when we opened it and drank it. Not that I would try and illegally enter the market for selling alcohols and stuff like that. I don't personally have any interest in reselling my whiskeys or anything.
Yeah. And like, I think the other thing is that this guy is quite popular, and therefore, when there's a very limited supply, this person has a lot of fans, it gets a good amount of press, right? Like, demand goes.
They want it whether or not they're whiskey people.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Well, and that's the thing that really surprised me, right? The fans of his are going to buy it. the people around the fans, like the community of it, are curious and will probably buy it. And I fell somewhere in the middle where it became an easy present to get, where it was like, well, he likes Call of Duty, he likes whiskey, he like like I mean, like he knows who this person is. This is a good
hit all
gift. I
hit
tick all the boxes
corners
there.
Yeah.
And then to find out it wasn't a thing that was made for cachet, it was a thing made and it was good, was an interesting outcome of this experiment that you egged us through.
I wonder. I really, because I know your list contains a lot of scotches.
Oh yeah.
I really wonder if you had some more bourbons in there, would it like become clear if you guys like those better than scotches?
I would like to get some more better bourbons, because the Garrison bourbon, the Black Steel bourbon, and the Trader Joe's bourbon shot to the top. The Irish whiskey kind of drew into the middle, which really surprised me because I used to like Irish whiskey a lot more. And the scotches really fell into like two camps of things that were uber strong, like cask strength stuff, closer to the top, and stuff that was more like Johnny Walker, Dimple Pinch, Chivas near the bottom.
I really need to go. We'll talk off air. This is a longer discussion, I think. But like, there's a ton of things I can recommend for you that you can like look out for. And just like,
I've had some of them. Like, I know I've had Eagle Rare before.
I'm sure. Yeah,
I've had plenty of Bullet. I've had, you know what I mean. We don't keep some of that stuff around that we could. Right. I know I like.
I'm saying
Bullet.
like knowing that you seem to have liked this higher proof, higher cask levels type stuff.
Yeah.
I can name some stuff for you to keep your eyes open for. And if you happen to see it on the shelves, buy a bottle and give that a try. Because I think there's some stuff that you would like in that range. But the problem with that stuff is that it's like, again, seasonal releases or harder to find. And so you kind of just have to be like checking the market every time you go in, check the liquor store every time you go through there or whatever, and just like see what shows up, right? You're not going to find this stuff, again, very unlikely at Trader Joe's.
They do have other whiskeys at Trader Joe's and other. They do. Other Trader Joe's branded whiskeys, but those are more popular and stalwart. Yeah, I would say.
Yeah, and like there's some like very normal stuff. I think that if like you just want like more normal bourbons, that are just out there all the time. But yeah.
Well, so let's get. I want to get into a little bit of what we got up to during our break, because then people can email us about what they got into during their break, etc. There was a lot of it. I'm going to lead off with a question, trivia question. You ready?
Okay. Put my thinking cap on.
Oh yeah. Michael, you got yours on?
I'm set.
You know the answer to this. You just don't know that you know. Who is the largest tire manufacturer in the world?
Is this a trick question?
Yeah, it's clearly a trick question, but also I don't know if it's legal for me to use the music. You know, the music that I want to put in there where people are thinking.
No. Oh, yeah. 10-second clip. I don't know.
Yeah, 3 seconds or whatever. Yeah.
I think I'm gonna guess Michelin.
Michelin is the largest passenger vehicle tire manufacturer in the world. Yeah. But that's not the answer to my question.
Yeah, I was gonna say that wasn't the question though. So,
Michael, you got a guess, or I'm gonna say it.
Oh, I mean, I would have said someone like Goodyear, but yeah.
Okay. So Michelin, I think it's Michelin makes 205 million ish tires a year. 310 million was the last estimate for the Lego company.
Tires.
Tires. Yeah, they make tires.
Lego tires.
A year. 310 million.
Huh.
Was the last estimate that I saw for Lego's tire production per year. I bring it up because over the break, another Christmas related item entered our home, something I've talked about actually getting into, and we finally got a few of them. The Lego Speed Champions sets arrived, and we built an Audi Quattro rally car, me and the kidlets.
Very cool.
Very cool model. Very fun to build. Quick. Built it in like 2 days, with a long, very little like amount of time each time. Something that surprised me about it. Not only are there stickers, but they printed special pieces, including the hood of that car. They printed it.
Yeah, probably because some of those like racing liveries, I guess is the word I'm thinking of, are like not going to be easy to put on a sticker.
But it's a $30 Lego, man, and they printed some of the pieces. I was shocked. Another thing that shocked me was like, not only do those, and this is the reason for the tires thing, because I was sitting there putting them together. So the thing I like to do is put together the wheels and the tires. And usually there's a standard Lego wheel hub. This one was a literal like tire hub, that you put the tire around, and then you put the hub cap on the outside, and you had 2 choices of hubcaps.
You got to make it look like the car, right? And the hubcap is a big part of the look of the car.
Yeah, but I was shocked that they were willing to like get in there and be like, all right, well, for this Speed Champions thing, we're gonna need to print pieces for each car, little 1 or 2 special pieces, and then like we're gonna up the game and make hubcaps and all sorts of stuff. I was pretty happy. So I wanted.
I wonder if that's built into the marketing deal or whatever that they do with whomever owns the rights to these cars, right?
Yeah. I think they have deals with like every car company now. They just sort of work through each one getting a little something at this point, It
was like that Audi Quattro is like an extremely famous racing rally car for, it's like one of the most famous rally cars to ever exist.
Yeah. I mean, it's
the reason 4-wheel drive is such a thing. Like that car.
Yep. And that's the reason that I got into the Speed Champions set, was seeing that they were going to do stuff like that in a much cooler scale than before, where it was like before they look like toys, and these look like little tiny model cars, and the kids are interested in building them. So that's one of the things I got up to over break. Since when we're on the topic of kids, real quick, tried out. Thank you, Michael, for lending the Captain Toad amiibo to us.
Oh yeah,
tried out that Captain Toad treasure tracker. Yo, that's a fun game for kids.
Yeah.
Yep. Puzzles. 1 or 2 have stumped us. If you tap that amiibo, you're invincible. So you can just walk through the level and kill all the enemies by touching them.
That's nice for when the kids get frustrated.
Yeah. It'd probably be a harder game without it, but I don't know if you remember the Captain Toad showing up in whatever Mario game that was. Those little levels, it's basically those again. There's a few with like boss, I won't call them fights. Those are the interesting ones. The rest of them are pretty simple, but it's longer than I gave it credit for being. I was surprised when the game kept going after what I thought was the end. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Were you playing this with the kiddos?
Yes. Yeah.
This seems like a very good game. Like there's puzzles, there's thinking, there's like, a little bit of exploring.
Yep. I can't recommend it for people that don't have little ones to try it out with, but I can recommend it if you do have little ones to try it out with. So there you go. Since this podcast is aging itself before our eyes, right, Michael?
Yeah.
I know we all got up to video games though, and I want to hear about what you guys got up to, because we had time off. It's been a little bit.
Well, I think there's one thing that has united this podcast in the last couple weeks in the video game realm.
You're right. F1 Manager 2022.
No, man. I think no, it was not it somehow. Sorry, Andrew. You can talk about F1 later, I guess, if you want. But I think all of us played a bunch of more Vampire Survivors.
I did.
Yeah,
I definitely did.
What a great game.
And I think now, Michael, you're a bit farther into it. I want to know. So I think I have unlocked close to everything. I'm not actually everything, but like a lot close to everything. There's like a lot more stuff from the DLC that I don't have. but pretty close to all the normal. There's like so many weird secrets and like side stuff or anything, but like I think I have all the like mainline quote unquote progression stuff from this game now. And I'm just curious where you guys are on that journey.
So for me, I've got maybe 19 or 20 characters unlocked at this point. And there are a few of them that I haven't used yet in a run. So I'm still making my way through unlocking all of the base weapons.
Yeah, it's just a bonkers amount of weapons, man.
I can't believe how many they've added since Alpha when we were playing. Holy cow.
And I mean, the funny thing is that like some of them are like not real weapon, not real, but they're like side weapons or whatever, and they like don't have upgrades or evolutions. But like so many of them are and do. It's just like, oh man.
Yeah. And then they stack evolutions on top of evolved stuff for some of the later ones.
Oh my god. So I know that I got the recipe thing or whatever that tells you when things are going to mix well.
The grimoire. Oh my god.
So helpful.
Best upgrade in the game. The best relic.
Well, I still have to use my phone though, because if I'm planning a build, I can't remember stuff like, okay,
you can pause and open the grimoire on the pause screen.
But if you haven't discovered that they go together yet, it's not in the grimoire.
Well, yeah, you got to try it.
This is true.
So if I know that I want to upgrade the axe because I haven't done that yet for the feats and unlocking whatever would come with upgrading the axe, and then I have to remember that I need to go get the hollow heart whenever it pops up in the random weapon upgrades, right? Which has boned me for so long. I'm trying to get Ebony Wings and Pigeon at the same time. Yes, I just call him Pigeon because that's his name.
I will tell you, there is a unlockable upgrade thing that makes that easier way down the road. Well, it was way down the road for me. I guess I don't know when it comes out.
So I've got a couple of them, JJ, and I think you're talking about skip and banish.
No, there's more. So
okay.
So banish is definitely the one that I was most that is most directly like what you're talking about.
What is banish?
If you see an item you don't want in the roll, instead of picking it for that level, you can use a charge of banish, and it's gone, banned from the game. It will never show up again
during that run.
During that run. So you're like, okay, I have this. Stop showing me.
Stop showing me whip. I don't want whip.
Yep, and just banish it, and you'll never see whip again for that run.
Oh.
Skip is similar to that, where like you get to a level up, you know you're looking for a specific thing, but you don't want any of these things, and so you can just pick to not level, right? Like you just like the level passes, you don't get anything for it, but you don't have to pick any of these. There is also reroll.
Do you get an extra one later, or you just don't get anything?
Nope, you just skipped.
You skipped.
Huh. I don't think that's an advantage.
It's, look, the levels aren't that big a deal sometimes. There's also reroll, which I guess neither of you have gotten yet.
So I have unlocked Dairy Farm, just to give you an idea, and I have finally collected the 2 things that were on the green arrows on the Dairy Farm, but I haven't done much more than that. I'm just working on like unlocking characters on I really like
I've been playing for so long I don't know where anything comes from anymore. It's all just unlocked for me. But there is reroll, which lets you just
those are 2 of the characters that I haven't run with yet, and I know that the reroll is attached to getting certain characters to level 50 in a run.
Yeah. And reroll just lets you respin your choices, right? Which is good. Objectively, right?
Objectively good. Yeah.
But you can't use like, I guess you can reroll and then later choose to banish, but like, you can't like banish and then roll again, right? Like that's not how it works. Banish uses the level.
Okay.
Unfortunately. And then there is a final one that comes way later that lets you just lock it out on the screen before you start, and it just won't show up.
Oh, that's even better than banish.
that thing you buy from the power-up screen. You buy all of these from the power-up screen at some level, but like that last one is insanely expensive.
Huh.
Is that Seal?
That is Seal, and there is a lot of levels to it. Gets like you want to find a money sink for your power-up money. That's where it goes.
Oh man.
Okay.
But yeah, so those are the ones I know about. I think that's all of them. But again, like some of those are unlocked so much later that like don't even bother worrying about it. And you can always just refund your money and like respend them to get what you need anyway. But like reroll and banish are super useful. Oh, I love those things. Because okay, there's a couple weapons, and maybe this is your guys' experience also. Do you have a couple weapons that you kind of just hate and you like don't want to see ever?
Whip, knife. Anything.
The knife's one of my favorites.
The knife is good, and I think the whip is good too.
I don't like anything that's super directional.
Andrew wants to be doing the AoE zone of death build. Is what I
do that.
Sure.
Yeah, I do. Like my go-tos right now are easily Garlic, King Bible, Rune Tracer with the just zone of death around you. And then you throw in both wands that sort of just shoot at whatever's close to you.
Yeah, maybe you guys don't have the Shadow Pinion yet. Do you have that one, Michael?
I do. I have the Shadow Pinion and the upgraded, what is it, the Valkyrie Turner?
Yeah. I just can't make those work good.
It's hard because the attack is movement based. So the more you walk before you let go of move, the stronger it is. But I couldn't figure out how the directionality worked because it was always at some weird angle to the path that I was walking.
It's kind of the same problem with the birds, right? Like, okay, they're going this way. I got to go that way to get them to do this thing.
The Vento Sacro has the same problem where it's like movement based, and I don't want to be doing that. Versus like the whip, I feel like once you get the whip like sufficiently leveled, it's hitting on both sides, left and right. You can kind of like make stuff happen with that. And the knife is definitely very unidirectional, but I'm always going some direction.
And when it's upgraded and there's zero delay to it,
upgraded knife with duplicator is very good. I've done it, and it just becomes a spray of death in front of you.
Yeah, the evolved knife is just a murder zone. It's great.
I don't begrudge the knife. I would rather have just stand still if I want to. I find that while I like playing it on the Steam Deck quite a bit, and I will continue to do so, I always feel like that controller or analog stick, I'm missing maneuvers that I would make with a more sturdy tension stick. I've always got it kind of like pushed all the way a direction. It's just slammed to the sides, and it's not really like,
it's one of those games where you're kind of, there's no gradation in your movement speed though, right? It's like,
it's zero.
You're either walking or you're not, and I don't think there's like acceleration really on your character. I could be wrong about that, but it doesn't feel like if there's much, because I play with a controller on my PC all the time, and I'm just like, you're just holding the thing a direction because you're walking somewhere most of the time.
Yeah, man, it's just getting used to. I used to play on the keyboard, so fine motor control there is a little bit different.
I will say, like for sure, I have played it a few times on my phone, and I've struggled. Like learning to control it on your phone is totally a different thing. So hats off to you, Michael, for making that work.
It's it's all I know, and so I don't have anything to compare it to say, oh, this is way better or worse.
I can't believe you do it on your phone. I can't. It's I don't know how you make tight maneuvers.
Yes, yeah.
I run between groups all the time.
For me, it's basically level things up to be OP enough where I don't have to.
Yeah. Well, the newer levels have been interesting to try out. I mean, we didn't have that many levels when we first started, JJ, and so getting back into the game has been like, whoa, look at this.
Dude, there's so much stuff. Like,
so
I because I came later, like a lot of this stuff was added before, so like stuff I have done, if I did it now, would unlock stuff that I don't have. So I'm having to like replay things and like re-level characters and reuse them that I wouldn't normally be using for quote unquote progression.
Right.
Because I want the thing. I want the Arcana. I want the unlock of the like next weapon upgrade or whatever. Like I want more whatever.
Nice. Okay, so we're all surviving, but are we thriving? What else did we get up to over the break, Michael?
I dug deeper into Trails from Zero.
Oh,
and
boy.
I know I have commented on this, and JJ and I have discussed it at length in every one of these games. But the level of interconnectedness between all of these games is just next level.
It's because it's a legend of heroes.
It's really, and I think even interestingly, I think this game, the one you're playing, Trails from Zero, right? And the game after it, Trails from Azure, have the most of this.
Oh, and so he's right in the thick of it, huh?
At least as far as I've seen the series. I mean, they finished Cold Steel at 4, and there's another game coming out at some time later. I don't know about that one, but certainly those two games, like you're in the most, or it felt to me, at least when I played them, that they are the most interconnected to the rest of the series.
You're playing a game from this century, though. That's from 2010.
Yeah,
I think all the Cold Steels weren't they early?
No, they're later.
The
Cold Steel started
out
in
of order, huh?
No, he's
so
yeah.
You want to tackle that, JJ?
The timeline.
So the games didn't come out in chronological order, Andy.
Oh,
in
we got
the US.
We got a little
in the US.
Star Wars problem.
Yeah.
Well, so they released the first 3 games in English, and then they skipped the next 2, which are Zero and Azure, and they went to the next series of 4, the Cold Steel games. So then these were finally translated after the fact, but they are kind of interstitial between the first 3 and then the Cold Steel 4.
So you don't know how things got there, or you do know how, and this is just figuring it out.
So I think Cold Steel was intended to be a entry point for new players to the series. They attempted to do that.
Mm-hmm.
As Michael has been saying, with all the interconnected stuff, it's a little bit impossible. But they did an okay job, I think. And Michael will notice when he plays Cold Steel, there's less references. You're not in Liberal anymore. You're not in Crossbell, which is like right next door. You're kind of in a much bigger area. It's its own thing. And that lasts for maybe a game or 2. And then kind of, you start seeing other characters again. And it becomes a more interconnected thing. So I think in English it's really tough because that skipping of those 2 games, they get referenced in those later Cold Steel games. And if you haven't played these, you're going to be like, what are we referencing here? Why are we doing this? And not even just like, why are we doing this? Like, why is this a big reveal? Who cares? It's like, okay. The bad guy pulls off his mask and it's like, it was me. And you're like, who are you? It's like, that's not what you're supposed to be feeling there. And so, yeah, it's good that these are coming out officially. It's good that these, because previously they were available as fan translations, and I think people said they were quite good generally.
Yeah, but even the fan translations were recent.
Right, in the last like 2 or 3 years. Yeah.
Mechanically, are you finding it to be almost identical, or are you kind of stepping backwards into like, oh man, they don't have this, and this?
Well, so I haven't played the Cold Steel games. So for me, I'm playing them in chronological order.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think for Michael, this is probably just like an evolution of the last battle system you saw in these games, right?
It is. And it works really well from that standpoint.
And I'm so interested to hear as you go forward how you feel about the evolutions in the battle system.
Okay.
Because for me, it was really hard having played some of the Cold Steel games, then going back to these and being like, oh, right, okay, like this is how it worked in Sky. This is kind of how this goes. Okay, shoot, how do I got to do with these Sepith and the lines. Yeah, okay. Like, how does this work? Yeah. So I'm very, very interested.
Yeah. Whereas for me, it just feels like a logical, the technology got better, and so you can do these extra things.
Yeah. Very cool.
Gotcha. Right on. Okay. Well, when you're not on Vampire Survivors, JJ, what'd you get up to? Persona 5. Okay.
Yeah, I did. I beat that game. I got the platinum.
All
done. Got the platinum trophy. I'm calling it good.
Are you retiring from games?
No, but I'm retiring from that game for a while. Man, that game's all right, you guys. That game's pretty good. People should play that game. It's a fun game. But I have been playing a Switch game that I got for the holidays this year, and I've been playing Bayonetta 3.
One you waited for a while.
Yeah. Speaking of games that I wish played on better hardware, Bayonetta 3.
Yeah. Maybe when Michael soon won't be with us, we'll have a discussion about the Switch versus some better hardware.
Yeah. I really am very curious how that game works on better hardware. I may have to try it sometime. But I've been playing it docked on the Switch.
That helps.
And it has been playable. I will say I haven't had a terrible time playing it, but this ain't 60 FPS, And this is the kind of action game in the vein of like Devil May Cry for folks who don't know, or the other Bayonetta games if you've played those, that is like stylish action, explosions. Your character is constantly shooting and kicking and exploding and summoning demons out of the sky and all kinds of stuff, like crazy stuff happening all the time, where you really want to make sure that frame rate is good so that you can dodge the arrow to set up the attack and go the other, all this kind of crazy combat stuff.
It's not a Souls-like, but it is in a way. You have to, the games are built for you to have reactions, not the same type of like, okay, I know this guy's gonna have a reaction thing where I have to press X to dodge to the left to make but you still have to do the like, okay, this boss shoots arrows in giant swaths of the screen and I have to know when to like roll to the left.
Right. You need to know to press the parry button or the dodge button so that you can get a specific move to come out, so you can trigger slow time, so that you can shoot the guy to keep your combo going, because you're graded on your combo at the end of the thing, and you want to make sure you have, an S rank or a platinum medal or whatever they're giving you here. Because then, you get more points, and then those points get used at the shop later at the end of the level, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So all that stuff is very important and like a big deal. But the story is just complete nonsense. This is the definition of a game where like there's like this multiverse story, and like you're jumping between realms and you're finding alternate versions of Bayonetta, and all kinds of weird stuff is going on. And I like a lot of it. I just don't like the new character that they've introduced. And not because they introduced a new character, but because her mechanics are like different than Bayonetta's, and I can't keep them straight. And
so you have to play them both in the same game?
No, not at the same time, but in like, one level will be Bayonetta, one level will be this other character.
Oh no, that's rough.
And you can't skip it.
Yeah.
It's like you can't choose to which character you're going to play. You're playing as the character here. And so then it's like, all right, like now, okay, which is it? And like in the heat of the moment, I'm like hitting the button, but it's, sure, I need to be hitting parry instead of dodge, or I need to be like, the combo goes like this for this character instead of like that. And so now I'm like not getting the move I want.
Okay, so they're not changing the verb, right? Jump is still jump. It's just a different jump.
Yeah, all the buttons on the controller are the same, but the characters' move sets are different. And so, where I may be doing like 3 punches and then a kick to like summon a huge arm that swats at enemies as Bayonetta, as this other character, it's 2 punches, 2 kicks, and then a different button, right? And like, so the combos are all different. The demons are different, and that stuff makes like a big impact when you're like frantically trying to run away from 700 monsters, and you need to kill the one big one that's spawning all the little ones, and you can't get them because you're doing the wrong move. And like, you kind of get all like very tensed up as you're playing these games because they do so much crazy stuff on screen at a time, right? And you just need to get out that one big move that does the huge sweep of the fire sword, but you're messing it up because you're doing the one that does the leg kick instead or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure as I play more, I will eventually figure it out. But that's been my experience so far, and it's bumming me out because I'm like, oh no, it's another level for this character. God damn it.
Oh man. Well, yeah, switch discussions in the future, I think. We got interesting comments on something else related to that. So we all had Vampire Survivors in common over the break. But you two, not me this time, because I was the Vampire Survivor slow person, right? You two were a little slow on something else that we finally get to discuss. You both finished Andor.
High five, Michael. We did it.
Yeah, we started from the bottom. Now we're here.
So did Cassian. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he did.
I like heists. I like spy stuff. I like smart heist and spy stuff.
This is
I like
both
Andor.
It's interesting because this show is both a heist movie, a spy movie, and a prison break movie all at once.
It was what, 4 different movies basically?
Kind of.
It was every 3 episode arc felt like
3.
a movie. It's at least 3 movies, yeah. The final 3 episodes are definitely more of a spy game kind of thing. Then there's the prison break, and then there's the I like it though.
I think the only criticism I can give them is that after the high of that prison break episode, like, what can you do? Like, you have to finish the story, but like, you can't capture that again. Like, as that episode ran through, I was just like pumping my fist in the air, like yelling along with the prisoners,
One way out.
Like that was so good. Like one of the, what that felt like? That felt like the reveal scene in Shawshank Redemption,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where you find out that he got out, at the end, and you're like, Morgan Freeman telling you how it happened. So good. And like, just unbelievable. And so then, like, yeah, the couple episodes that were left after that one weren't as good as that one. Not that they were bad. There were no bad episodes.
There were some slow ones though. And that's why when we discussed it beforehand, I said, if you're not starting right away, go for it in 3 episode chunks, because you have to see the slow parts through, right? Like there's 2 episodes of build up for the heist, and the heist is non-stop in its 3rd episode, and it all pays off. The slowness all pays off. The character building with the people all pays off, because if you don't watch those first 2 parts, you don't care what happens to the people in the end. But I cared about all of those people that didn't make it out of the heist, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Because some of them didn't, and there were other things that happened afterwards that you're like, oh, all that was a lie, or all this was a lie, or these people's relationships aren't what they seemed like, or all that happens after the slow bits, right? You need, yeah.
Yeah. Another thing, and this a friend pointed this out, and I wholeheartedly agree. But one of the things that this show really gets right, that I don't think previous Star Wars have gotten right, is the politics of empire. Right.
Yeah.
Some of the previous movies have nodded at, the Galactic Senate, the Trade Federation, and they're just sort of loosely woven in there as kind of a means to an end. But this actually delves into, what does it mean to have this, galactic empire that is trying to crush a populace under its boot heel, and what happens when you squeeze too tight.
What is it to run a government that big, that vast, and wanting to control government itself without
And-
trying to show people that you're taking over.
Well, like I don't think they're like hiding it, but like, they're the slow expansion of
Yeah.
them being in control of everything here. And, like I told this to Andy, and I don't know if I said it in the chat or not, but like, I don't know if you could have told me before this show that it would be possible for you to write a story that would make me give a crap about Mon Mothma, right? And yet I did. And I thought her and her character arc was like maybe one of the best ones of the show.
It's one of the most intriguing for sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
And because like in Star Wars, she's just like, ooh, the big leader of the rebellion lady. Okay, she's rich and powerful. Cool, whatever. You don't ever see her. She's not important. Like she has no like anything in any of the movies, right? And oh yeah, I've read EU novels and whatever, but like that stuff isn't, or what do they call it now?
Legends
Novels, whatever that stuff is. But like, none of that stuff made me interested in her as a character. But this is like the human side of all this drama, of like all this, the politics of running or living in an empire that was so interesting. And like they made you interested in the ISB even, right? Like the the secret police.
Oh yeah. And like how it all works and who the politics of the secret police is fascinating. It's like I don't necessarily like the main character in ISB.
And you're not supposed to, right? Like
right, but the jockeying for position and
all that's
favorites.
Fun.
Yeah. And you're constantly like, oh, she got that guy. Haha, yeah. When she like one-ups one of the other like ISB guys. And then sometimes that comes around later, and you find out a thing. And you're like, oh, okay. Maybe I shouldn't have been rooting so hard against this, so and so.
Yeah. And showing you the parts of the rebellion that are not episode 4, right? We got the glimpse of it with Rogue One, where it was like, there's Cassian over there, and he's gonna shoot your dad, right? Like, oh no, Cassian, be the good guy, don't shoot the dad. And then, you kind of like wonder if it was darker in the rebellion than people said, but they didn't want to go too far into it because it was a movie. And then you get episode 4, and it's like, look at these Scott Flyboys, and they're superstar heroes, and they got all the luck and the force on their side, and they blew it up. There's the bad guy, right? Mm-hmm. This is like, wait a minute, who pulled the strings on all this, and what does it mean to be them? And that speech that Stellan Skarsgård gave in the middle of it was literally, this is
what have I given up?
Yeah, the what have I given up speech.
Oh, what a speech.
Yeah. This is what this is, right? Like, you want to call something Star Wars? Well, not everyone in a war is Luke Skywalker and gets to walk in the parade.
Right. Like most people aren't heroes, right? And this is the most people in the movie, right?
Yeah.
I think the best summary of it came near the end when Luthen and Saw are talking.
Oh, so cool that Saw Gerrera was in this. Sorry for the spoiler, but how cool was it to be like, wait a minute, this, I know JJ, probably for you especially, Michael's going through Clone Wars at a slow rate, but he's going through it, so he's seen Saw Gerrera before.
Well, I mean, I saw him in Rogue One, right?
But you saw him in Rogue One, he's just a crazy dude, connection. Right?
You don't get much backstory.
You don't get much backstory on why Saw Gerrera is the way he is in there, and you got a little bit of it in how much of a jerk he is in Fallen Order when he leaves the Wookiees to die.
Right.
But this bit of Saw is what really you're missing the pieces of from Clone Wars, and it was nice for that. Just showing them. Sorry, Michael, I cut you off. It was so cool.
No. I was just saying that I love the moment in their exchange where Luthen is convincing Saw to let the trap get sprung.
Krieger.
And he tells him, of Krieger, and he tells him, call it the greater good. And Saw responds with, let's call it war.
Yeah.
Right. Luthen has to tell him, has to tell himself that so he can sleep at night. But Saw's cool with that. That's not a problem that Saw has, you know.
Oh
like
no, I don't
sleeping.
think. I don't even think Luthen has a problem with it happening. He says to Saw, Saw, I don't want you to mistrust me because we have to work together if this is gonna work. But like, you make the call because this could happen to you next time.
Right. I mean, and and Luthen is pretty straight about him, or straight with him about it, right? And he's like, "Hey, I have this information. I'm telling you. If I was setting you up, would I tell you this? Like,
Right.
if I was hanging you out there to die, I wouldn't be here talking to you, right?"
Yeah. What a show. I mean, we don't ever get to meet Krieger, and the weight of it is not there, but the weight of it is there, I think, for people that want it to be. And if you got into it, like, I mean, the Gilroys just write stuff that clicks in my brain. I don't know. It just happens. But if you got into it like I got into it, it's just the pieces are all there and they all work.
So I have to ask, because I almost missed it. I didn't realize it was even a thing that was there until my wife said something. Did you guys watch the little scene after the credits, after the last episode?
I sure did.
There was a scene after the episode.
There was a scene after the last episode.
Yep.
You should go watch it, JJ, because it's a nice little payoff.
I'll put it on.
What were they building in prison, JJ?
Oh, I already know all this stuff, man. They mentioned Scarif earlier in the show, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I assume it's something about that.
Yes, it is something about that. Yeah. But you get to see what the part is and what it does.
Oh, okay. I will go watch that. But when they mentioned Scarif, my ears perked up, right? Because I knew Cassian, was introduced in Rogue One, right? That was the first thing we saw him in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And knowing this as backstory to that, when they mentioned Scarif, my ears immediately perked up because I'm like, oh, that's...
They're building the thing on Scarif right now,
Right.
is what they were saying. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, it's a complete throwaway line. They don't make a big deal about it because it doesn't matter to this story.
It doesn't. None of those people know that it's important, and they don't make it seem important to you because it's not important yet.
Right. And the only way that we know it's important is because we, the audience, have outside knowledge that makes it seem cool to us. Right.
Yeah.
But the characters don't react to it because they don't know what that is. Some planet building something. Who cares? They build a lot of things all over the place. Whatever.
There are really only two things that I could think of off the top of my head that were big, hey, nods. And they were only nods to Cassian's story. It was Scarif, and it was having him be arrested by a K2.
Yep.
Yeah.
One that I drew. There was a third one that I drew, and I don't know if it was meant to evoke the same scene, but at the trying to remember, I think it was at the end of episode 11 where Cassian is just given the news about his mother.
Mm-hmm.
And he's on the resort planet. It's basically the shore is abandoned, and he's staring out at the glow on the horizon. And it suddenly brought to mind the last scene of Rogue One.
Yeah, I mean that's imagery evocative for sure.
Yeah, some visual metaphor there, maybe.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool that it's
go watch Rogue One again.
I plan to because, I think they've said it's only 2 seasons. Andor.
I didn't know if even they were doing a second season. Although I assume how popular it was, they would. But I've not heard, or I personally have not heard.
I am almost certain they have said that it's 2 seasons long total, and they just have a story, and it'll run right up to the Rogue One.
Yes, it's 2 seasons total for 24 episodes, so it'll be another 12.
It's
cool.
Really cool to think that they had they must have had a lot of this pre-figured out. It doesn't feel like a thing they slapped together.
Oh no, I'm sure they've had the entire 24 episode arc laid out.
And I'm excited to see it because wow. Walking into Rogue One with a show like this, if they do the same in the second season, will just make that movie even higher on my list. I might have to move it to the top at that point and just say, sorry, episode 4. I know you started the whole thing, but Rogue One is a payoff for 24 episodes of an amazing show.
I mean, Rogue One's a pretty good payoff.
Rogue One's a pretty good movie to begin with.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be worse.
Could be worse. Speaking of worse, Michael, is The Witcher Blood Origins as bad as it looked?
No, actually, we've only watched the first episode so far, but it was enjoyable.
Okay.
Mostly because other than the framing device, which is just entertaining, and I won't spoil it for you because it's fun to see.
Michelle Yeoh's in it, so
yes,
I mean,
yes,
I think Michael and I are, or not Michael, JJ and I are already primed to try it out.
I mean, I love Michelle Yeoh in everything.
Yep, and she shows up in the first episode, so you don't have to wait long. But aside from the framing device, there isn't anything, at least that I have seen yet, where they're trying to tie it back to the original series. So it stands as its own thing.
Okay.
Which I really like. I really like that it's telling its own story.
It's probably safer, considering the gigantic blowback that is occurring to the main series currently.
It seems like the state of the story and like, sorry, when I say the story, I mean like the Witcher verse story, big S overarching thing is in a bunch of weird places because of the games and the books and like what even stories do they want to tell. So like doing something that's kind of off that path is maybe smart if you want to make a good show.
I don't have like a in-depth knowledge of the Witcher universe. I know some of it from a few of the game-ish things I played. I've never read the books, so like I don't want to like seem like we're taking sides and whatever the heck's going on with the Henry Cavill recast and with the
I mean, who knows what that's going to do, right? Like you can't.
Well, the writers are like in a running fight with fans on Twitter, like constantly.
Well, because all the fans took Henry Cavill's side because he was like a huge nerd.
I think it started before that. I think it started in mid-second season because quote unquote you're killing the books kind of thing. Okay. I don't know.
I don't know about that much.
I don't know either.
I've read a few of the Witcher books. I know some stuff, but like,
who cares?
I generally like those seasons and like, yeah, whatever. Tell a good story. Like,
yeah, it's its own. I always kind of take the like it's its own thing. You can't. I mean, same with that Rings of Power. We're a little bit into it, Michael, and I'm kind of like, some of this stuff ain't quite right.
Well, yeah, I mean, so they take so and this may touch on a difference, and I don't know enough Witcher lore to know, but the difference I think between Blood Origins and between Rings of Power is that Rings of Power has a source material and it is picking pieces out of it and twisting some things around a little bit to tell its story, whereas Blood Origins takes place like 1200 years before The Witcher, and I don't think, at least that I know of, the lore of The Witcher goes back that far.
I don't know.
Yeah. I know there is like some, celestial stuff that happens, but I don't think they like have any named people or anything back then.
Right, from that far back.
Maybe like some elf ancestor whose name no one knows, but like, yeah.
Yeah, so you get a lot more freedom to tell the story that you want to tell in the way that you want to tell it.
Yeah, the Tolkien stuff has so many weird strings because of like the dude was a history guy, and so the history of all the lands is known.
Yeah, because he spelled it out.
Right. Which makes it tough for you to then tell stories in there that aren't just like really small ones, because the characters, the big ones, everyone knows because people live forever in that world, which makes stuff really hard.
This show
probably gonna watch that Witcher thing.
Decent on its own.
Yeah. I'm definitely excited to watch more of it.
Okay. If you're excited to watch more of something, I think that's a good barometer for whatever. I'm excited to watch more of JJ. I hope that this is the year we get at least 2 more Action Button reviews, because I finally watched the entire 6.5 hours of Boku no Natsuyasumi.
Yeah, did you finally get through it?
It was it felt longer than the others in a way.
It really does. It gets
Didn't
really real at some points.
It did get really real at points, and he mimicked the game in the structure of the video. We're talking about the Tim Rogers reviews, Michael. Those really long reviews that we've watched.
Yeah.
He got real in there, which I think was the point of what he was talking about with what the game was trying to get people to think about a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. I think
I'd have to rank it. I don't think I would rank his stuff because they're all so different, but like I definitely have burned through other ones faster because of the content, I think. So
yeah,
we'll
I
see.
think this one felt so much more personal that it became a different thing at some points, you know?
Yeah. Cool that someone's out there making stuff. I mean, just whatever they feel like to get across two or 3 points in the same thing, right? Like
You cannot say this dude is redoing the same stuff or is out of ideas. No one is doing stuff like this except this guy.
Yeah. It's a review not unlike the others in so much as it makes you think about games and storytelling overall and what you should be accomplishing if you are a storyteller. But unlike the others, much more deeply, it's like, hey, we talked a lot about, what to do with your stuff and your things and moving on with life and trying to, you know what I mean? Like this one is one of those reflective things that we talked a lot about in 2022. So it's kind of fitting to have finished it kind of at the end of 2022 when it was like a reflective year, I guess you could subtitle it, "You Can't Go Home Again," right? One of those common phrases used in television story arcs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, 2023 is upon us, so let's talk about new things as we go on from here, right, everybody?
Hopefully onward and upward to better things.
Well, certainly onward. Life will be changing soon for some of us, right?
It's true. I guess.
The inside of your house will look like a bomb went off at some point in the future. Yeah.
Some of us don't need major life events to make that happen, just saying.
I can't blame it entirely on my kids, I gotta say. My area of the house is not any better. YouTube?
Yeah, folks, find us out there on YouTube. This is We Were Gamers, the podcast. We're on there, all one word. Check it out. Hit that little subscribe. YouTube.com/ at We Were Gamers. Yep. Thank you. Check that out, folks. We are also on your favorite podcasting apps. Give us 5 stars on there because we deserve it. And you deserve it too. And we're on social media. Find us out there. We Were Gamers. Find it.
Yeah. If you listen to the whole thing, it's 5 stars, right? I mean, what's the difference? If 5 stars or no stars is the only rating. I'm not saying give us no stars because you didn't listen to. Well, it's at the end, so clearly you did listen to the whole thing.
And like those videos. Subscribe to that channel. It helps. I just want to say I said something earlier that I really liked, and neither of you caught it. I said I really liked Michelle Yeoh in Everything.
Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Yeah,
and that's what I meant. Yeah,
I thought about it as you said it, and I was like, "Oh, did he mean it?"
I did mean it. But I also like her in all things that she's in generally.
And
so
by the time I thought about making the joke, it was too late.
Yeah, I didn't want to circle back till now. So later, dudes.
Bye.
Happy New Year.
Same to you.
My microphone stand kept falling down that entire time. It was so I was crouching by the end of it. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Oh, he's already gone. Dang it.